Hey guys, this is Charles Blair, the Mad Scientist. Thank you for watching this video. Now in this video, you're going to hear an actual conversation that I have with one of my lead agents. I call this a training session. And what you're going to notice on the screen is two arrows. One arrow is going to say audio recording. And that will be an actual recording that one of my lead agents had with a real seller who's interested in selling their property. The second arrow will say my analysis. That's me giving my lead agent what I'm thinking, what I like to call the inside the mind of a mad scientist, how I'm looking at that conversation, how I'm looking at exactly what was just said in that conversation, what should have been said, and how it should be presented. So naturally, I'm giving my live point of view of how that deal should be negotiated. So I want you guys to sit back, definitely take notes, and you're going to see exactly the inside mind of a mad scientist and how I teach my actual lead agents how to structure and negotiate deals when talking to a seller. Sit back and enjoy.
Hello?
Hey, may I speak to Frank, please?
This is that.
Hey, Frank, this is Tony Roberts returning your call.
Hi, Tony.
All right, then.
Call about
You had a
my
bad time?
property.
Yeah.
No, not really.
Okay. Okay.
Call about my one property, but I may have another property in mind.
Okay. All right. And what's the address of that property?
Hold on. I don't have a question problem here, but you need to dissect what he said. You called about my one property, but I may have another property. You didn't go into, well, what's wrong with the first property?
No.
What is there an issue with not wanting to sell the first property, or you changed your mind about the first property? You didn't go into any of that. Now you may, during that conversation, you may just tell me, Charles, hey, I got that covered. I talked about that, but did you or didn't you go into? You called about the first property, but I got another property.
I didn't address that at all because I left a message, a live message about his property. And when he called me back, this was my call back to him because he left a message saying, that was not available, but the other one, he has another one.
So you want to find out why isn't it available? This all goes into rapport. The more you get him talking, the better he feels as though he knows you.
Gotcha.
So even if it's not available, let's find out why, because it could be a situation where that deal could fall through. So you may be able to call him back and say, hey, first of all, I want to find out, James, how's that other deal coming along? Is it still going good? Okay, well, let's go ahead and finish talking about this deal. Bam.
Gotcha.
So that's why I'm saying you gotta go into that, listen to what he's saying as opposed to ready to ask the questions you want to ask.
Yes.
That's the key. Listen to what he's telling you first, and then he will tell you how to bring in the questions you want to ask.
Yeah.
33 Winbrook Road, W-Y-N-B-R-O-O-K Road. 33.
33. Okay.
And that's 21224.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
All right. Sounds good. All right. And can you tell me a little bit, just under the bare bone of the property?
Bam. You're not asking for the bare bones. You want all of the information. You don't want a broken down schematic. You want him to start talking and never stop talking.
Okay.
So don't push him in a direction when it comes to tell you about the property. You want to hear about everything. You don't want him to have the mindset that I'm just going to tell you the basics and nothing but the basics. No, you want what can you tell me about the property? And just leave it blank. So what I'm trying to say is you can get so much more accomplished with 4 or 5 words as opposed to trying to figure out a long paragraph to ask him.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about the property?
Okay.
Bam. You'll start talking this. And then if he doesn't give you your answer, then you bring in a question. For an example, what can you tell me about the property? he forgot to tell you how many bedrooms and baths. Then you say, okay, well, you mind me asking, how many bedrooms and bathrooms do you have? But let him start talking. Let him bring out as much information as he can. Then go into with what he didn't ask you or what he didn't tell you.
Bedrooms, bathrooms, things like that.
Technically 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, a townhouse finished basement with a deck. It needs some, what's what I'm looking for? Just superficial work, cosmetic work.
Gotcha.
It's a rental, but I got sick. Now I was in the process of fixing it up, and I got sick and I got stuck. So.
Okay. Is it in the middle of repair?
Okay. He just told you something very important. And what you did was just go right back to asking questions. You have to build rapport. Think in terms of the conversation. I got sick. Well, I hope everything is okay with you now, my friend.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's about.
I missed that. Yeah. Listening to it, it's like, dude, you just stepped right on. Yeah.
No, it's not that it's not what it is. You know what you want to ask, but you're not listening to what he's saying. That's what it is. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. You ready to get to your questions, and you're being, for lack of a better word, like a robot. I don't hear anything else other than the answer for my question. And that's where you got to get out of. Okay. Like you do when it comes to selling cars. I'm not sure how you guys do what you do in that process, but I know part of it is about building rapport.
Yes.
So that's where I'm going with this in regards to, if he says something about his family, comment about the family. I heard a dog in the background. Sounds like you're a dog lover. So all these kind of things help build that whole rapport and stuff in the conversation.
Yes. Okay. All right. Good point.
Did you get a chance to finish it before?
No, it's in the middle.
Okay.
So nothing major, it's all cosmetic.
Okay. So nobody's living there right now, is that right?
No.
Okay. Not a problem. So you said just cosmetic work needs to be done up front. Now, in your estimation, how much would you say would finish that off as far as repairs?
Needs a piece of drywall put up on the ceiling, just about a 4x4 piece. Needs a new tub surround, which I was in the process of doing. It needs 1 window pane replaced. No, I'm sorry, 2 window panes replaced.
Okay.
Fresh screens and some molding, and then repaint it.
Okay, panes replaced. All right. So, I mean, overall, you do the work yourself, so you get a little bit of a discount. But how much total would you say?
Now, that has no relevance to the conversation at all. You do the work yourself, so you get a little bit of a discount. I look at that as you hearing yourself speak.
Okay.
Because you see where I'm going with that? Where were you going with that? That's my question.
Well, because whenever I ask that question of somebody who does the work themselves, then they will typically give me like well, it costs me this amount, but for other people it'll be this amount. So I was kind of getting past I can get it done for this amount, but if someone else was to contract it out, then I guess plus labor, kind of thing.
Well, we're going to do that anyway. We're going to let him know what our cost would be at the point of walking through the property and seeing what the estimate of repairs would be.
Okay.
So where I'm going with this is, I like to listen more than I speak. So you did the question, hey, what kind of work is needed? But I would not have interjected, you get the cost cheap, because you didn't pounce on any specific thing at that time. So that means that when you do bring in that how much it's going to cost us, your part about you get the cost cheap is probably a past memory.
Okay.
So I wouldn't even bring that into conversation right now,
Okay.
until it gets to a point where I'm telling him what the cost is, and then he comes back and say, well, my cost is only $5,000. Well, you don't have to pay labor because you're doing it yourself. That's when I bring it in.
Okay.
At that point in time, not when I'm not even going to challenge him yet. I'm not challenging him yet. So there's no reason to bring that in.
Understood. I got you.
That is, would it be less than $7
The
grand?
windows would probably cost about $60 to be taken to what's that, Clayton downtown, Hamburg Street.
And what he's telling me, what you should pick up out of this guy knows about what's wrong with his property.
Yeah.
He also knows about costs when it comes to landlording, because he's giving you pricing based on going to supply shops and so on to get stuff fixed.
Yep.
So I wouldn't even question him down this path about this, because he's been very detailed, which tells me he has experience.
Yes.
He's very detailed. So this is just a matter of, well, you can get it for this price, but I can get it at that price. So I wouldn't even go into challenging on this. I would just listen and take notes and say, okay, let me use these numbers based on what he said. Now, I may have to change the numbers when it comes to painting and carpet, but let's use these numbers right now. That's how I would look at it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the double pane window that the old tenant busted, cracked. The asshole
Okay.
cracked it on his way out. But I figured the window will come out and you take it to Clayton. I think it's Clayton down Hamburg Street. And they'll replace window panes for like $40 to $60 or something like that. Painting, I figure a good 5-gallon bucket with a nice sprayer and somebody knows what they're doing would take care of that. Need some moldings. All the stuff needs to be carpeted. My son might be able to get that done.
Okay.
He does for a living. He does flooring. Like I said, a 4x4 section in the ceiling just needs to be replaced.
Okay.
And the tub surround probably run between $200 and $350 from Home Depot. Depends on how elaborate you want to go with the tub surround. You know what I'm talking about? It's just like a 3-panel surround. You just glue it up and you're good to go.
Okay. Okay. Man, it sounds like you had a whole
list. I
list.
had there, but it was old and cracked, and so I ripped it down. Like I said, I fixed the towel that all loose towel I'd done, fixed all that. Just needs to be another tub surround put back in.
Okay. It sounds like you had the whole list together. How long have you owned the property?
And I restained the deck this past fall. So,
This is a minor mistake.
Okay.
You didn't let him finish, because I don't know if you was ready to go to the next question, but he wasn't finished.
Yeah, he did give a couple pauses in there where I thought that it was time, but he's a slow, methodical kind of talker. So, yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You got to pick that up during the conversation. This guy is slow and methodical, so he may have more to say.
Yeah.
So you just pause, and that silence is going to either get him to say, is there anything else you need to know? Or he's going to continue to talk.
Yeah. I agree.
So it's a two double-decker deck. So it's a nice deck sitting on the back of the house for considering the area that it's in, you know.
Okay.
Nicer decks back there. It's a townhouse. It's not. It's in second from the end. It's fenced.
Okay.
Front yard's open. It's got a little, it's got a covered porch on the front.
Oh, okay. Cover porch.
Yeah, it's a finished basement. It's got the old knotty wood pine in the basement.
Yeah.
Machine, all the appliances are there.
See, you're feeling like everything he says, you have to say something in return. You don't. You can just let him keep talking. Because every time he gave you something, you responded with, "Oh yeah, okay, nice." You don't need to do that.
Okay.
Just let him continue. When you do that, you're talking over him, and some things you're going to hear, some things he's going to say. Just let it flow.
Gotcha.
They all work.
Okay. Not a problem. So, and how long have you owned the property overall?
Probably, that was my first property I bought. So probably about 20 years, but I refinanced it a couple of times back when the market was up and stuff.
Okay. So do you currently still have a mortgage on it?
Yeah, I owe about 80 on it.
Perfect. You brought in the question about it. He talked about the fact that he refinanced it. That was the perfect opportunity to bring in the question about mortgage balance and mortgage payment. So that was perfect.
Okay.
And I'm thinking fix the property to bring about 120.
Okay.
136.
Fixed about 120. And is that based on any sales that recently occurred?
Perfect. However, I would rephrase it because you're making the question so difficult. The way that question should be answered is like this. Well, how did you come up with that number? You don't have to go into is that based off of sales, yada, yada, make it technical. Think in terms of a sixth grader. Well, how did you come up with that? How did you come up with that number?
Yeah.
In the neighborhood?
Yeah, my next door neighbor got like 125 to his.
Perfect. He told you exactly where the next door neighbor came in. Now, the reason why we love that answer, because now we can use that answer either against him or use that answer to prove him. That's the reason why we want to know, does he know any valuation of the neighborhood? Because using it against him is this way. My next door neighbor got it sold his for 125. Well, actually, Mr. Jackson, your next door neighbor sold his for 105. Here's the paperwork. Now we just got his property down to 105 in regards to what the neighborhood sells for, which means we could get that number down. In this case, we won't because it's based on the mortgage balance. So he can't go below the mortgage balance. But you see where I'm going with it?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Across the street.
125.
Yeah.
Okay.
His same way, acceptance and basically the same type of house.
Okay, so exactly the same almost in every way, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And that was a complete rehab, was it?
Well, yeah, he's in construction, so I know he did a lot of work to it.
Okay.
Before he sold it.
Great question. The fact that he brought in the neighbor and you brought in the question, was that a full rehab? That was a great question.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So
I'm not sure exactly what he did because I didn't see it, but knowing him, I'm sure he did.
Now you just opened him up to the whole point of, well, your property is not in that condition, so I won't be able to get 125 when I sell yours because he has a new kitchen, he has a new bath, he has this, he has that. So it goes great to the point of knocking down the valuation.
Yep.
Cosmetic work to make it look more presentable.
okay, not a problem. So you need a couple of repairs here. You owe about 80. Now, have you called a realtor at all or any other
No,
investor?
to be honest with you, no.
Okay.
Like I said, I just recently got sick the past month.
Oh.
So I really haven't.
Now, this is just a tiny thing. No, it's just a tiny thing. I wouldn't have said if you called the realtor. My main question and down along the line is, have you tried listing the property? Because that's automatically it's going to be with a realtor. You don't have to put in a realtor. That's a small thing. The other thing would be, well, how long have you been trying to sell the property? So if I'm going to bring in that question, I'm going to bring in the questions on realtor. I want to also know how long they've been trying to sell it.
Gotcha.
Because that could go back to motivation. Well, I've been trying to sell it for the last year at $80-something thousand and nobody has bid. That's telling you a whole, that's giving you a powerful piece of information.
Yes.
A whole year at this price and nobody bid. What's going on here? Is this property really need more repairs than what he's saying? Is this neighborhood right next to a cemetery or something? I mean, what's going on here? So that's what you want to find out when you bring in that question about list it with a realtor. Think in terms of, well, how long have you been trying to sell it?
Yeah, it's just kind of put a, and I'm, you know, I'm going on 63.
Okay.
And it's like, you know what? If I can get out from underneath of it, I'll be more than happy to sell it for what I want it.
That's powerful.
Okay. So you want to?
That's powerful. I'd be happy to sell for what I owe on it. At that point in time, what I'm thinking, I'm definitely going to set up an appointment because he just told me that he's willing to sell for what he owes on it, which means I may be able to take over payments. So I would definitely set up that appointment for that next day. What would be a good time? Because the property is vacant. What would be a good time for me to come by and see the property? Next thing I'm also saying is I don't need to go into a product I'm going to pay for it right now. I need to go to the property and see if the repairs is really $5,000-$6,000 worth of repairs. Because I'm going to say, well, Mr. Johnson, I know you want to get rid of this property. What if we could make an offer on the property where we could take care of all the payments, you just collect payments every month? Would that work for you? You wouldn't have to have any headaches with mortgage payments and this stuff. Get away from the words flipping the house, rent to own, rehab the property to sell, flip the house, get away from that.
Yeah.
Break down the actual thing that you're doing. We take over the payments. We find a buyer.
Yeah.
That's what you want to say, not flipping the house or rehab to flip. Get out of the technical stuff. Get into the 5th grade, 6th grade, speaking to somebody stuff.
Okay, so then you're really, so that part with the blue bars at the top there, that string right there, you could go ahead and just skip that part because that, if you just gave me that part there, you might just want to skip that part and let's just get on to the end of the call because
You want to sell it for the 80?
For whatever I owe on it.
So you confirmed it. Now, did you have to? No, but I don't mind you doing that.
Okay.
I don't mind you doing that at all. But you didn't have to because he already said it. But ain't nothing wrong with the affirmation of him. Okay, he's willing to sell for what he owed, and he affirmed it. Yes.
yes,
I just want to sell for what I owe on it. Now, what he owe is based on mortgage and based on these two factors. He already pulled all the equity out. He refinanced it a couple times. So he already pulled equity out. He already depreciated to the full length and terms what he could depreciate it for. So right now, he would be very cognizant of doing a rent to own or doing something like a make mortgage payments to him by way of a wraparound. So taking over the payments, making payments to you, he would be more, he probably wouldn't have any objection to that.
yeah, I don't think so.
And then what we would do is we would wholesale it for $5,000 to somebody that wants to take over this property, put another $5,000 in and pay him. And this is where the whole mortgage payment stuff comes into play. Now you know the minimum amount he needs to pay his mortgage, PITI. So now you could offer, let's say he needs $710. Now you can say, well, what if I give you $800 a month? So now he's got an extra $90.
Yeah.
Without any management.
I see what you did there. Because a couple days ago, you said when you negotiate, you ask for what you want, and then you dial it back from there. So just seeing that you went with $90, that's it, and instead of a larger jump, which gives them the opportunity to work that up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I'm also thinking in terms of my cash flow. I'm thinking in terms of the person who's going to want to get this property from us. Literally, how much will they be able to rent this out? And I think you're probably looking at around 1,100 tops, Section 8.
Yeah.
So if I give that person a good $250 more each month, I think that person will be happy with that. Giving us $5,000 as a finder's fee and giving him and doing the repairs that's in the property, and giving him an extra $100 or extra $80 or $90 a month.
How would that set? How would you do that for? Or since we're wholesaling the sub too, would you have any time frame on it?
I let him tell me that. Remember, I let him say, "Well, how much?" Well, his natural answer would be this, Tony. Well, how long are you talking about? Now I got him because he just said yes. Well, how long would you like to do it? So now I just got to figure out what he has in mind. So I'll go back to as long as I can get it and let him talk me closer.
Yes.
So by him saying, by me saying, well, we can do it for 5 years. And then at the end of 5 years, I'll go ahead and get a new loan and buy it. Well, could you do 3 years? That's what I'm looking for.
Okay. Well, now, just so I'm not going to throw out any offers, but do you typically, would you go 5 years as your starting?
I go as long as I can get.
Gotcha. Okay.
As long as I can get on. Now, the key is the deal you want to do. If this was a rent to own, no, you're doing no more than 24 months.
Yeah.
If this was a wraparound mortgage, as long as you want.
Yeah. I understand.
So that's how I would do it.
Gotcha.
Next.
Okay. It's in the low 80s. It's not high 90s. So I'm saying 80. Between 78 and 83. How's that?
Okay.
I would have to look at my latest mortgage statement.
That's okay. That's okay. Let me see. 80 to 83, and let me see. So how much is your mortgage payment right now?
$750.
750.
Perfect. You were still talking about loan information, mortgage information, so it was perfect to come in with the mortgage payment. That's a perfect segue. Let the conversation take you in the direction that you want to go when it comes to getting the 5 numbers that count.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And you,
I think I'm paying 4%.
4% interest.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you now the reason I asked is, are you familiar with some of the ways that we properties?
Now you know where I'm going with this one.
No, let's forward the tape.
Stay away from that. Right. Let's eliminate that. Stay away from that.
Not really. I mean.
Okay. So I always like to.
You guys do cash and no closing calls and stuff like that.
That's right. Now we do have a couple of different options here. So we do.
Yeah, the reason why I'm saying staying away from that is until you get to the point of getting to that person. I don't want to present a creative strategy over the phone when I haven't seen the property. That's one thing.
Yes.
Number two, I'm a firm believer in that when you're ready to nail the deal down, 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to do it in person. And that means going to the property, making sure your repair cost is correct, and then bam, let's sit down at the kitchen table and make this happen.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Now, the other thing is, like I said, because you don't have a lot of experience with the phrasing and the verbiage, all you're going to do is get yourself in trouble if you do it on a phone call. You're going to get
right.
So let's continue down and see how this comes out as far as what you're saying to them.
We got to.
right? So you probably, if you watch HGTV, like my wife makes me watch, then you would see the buy and hold.
Now, I love that part about it. Like my wife makes me watch. I love you
Yeah.
bringing in what's going on with you outside of real estate. My wife makes me watch HGTV. Now, of course, I think she knows that I'm doing real estate already, so I'm not sure why. I think she's trying to tell me something. So you see, bring that conversation, some laughter in there, some levity in that conversation. So I like the fact that you brought that into the conversation.
Okay.
Right? The fix and flip, that's another one. You have the investor close.
Now, nobody wants to hear you say flip. Now, he's an investor, so I'm going to preface that with he knows what it means, fix and flip. But generally speaking, you don't want to say fix and flip to a homeowner, generally speaking. In this case, he was an investor. So I like to say, like I said, 6th grade level. We're going to do the repairs in the property and sell it to one of our home buyers.
Okay.
Doesn't get any simpler than that.
Yes. Yeah.
Because remember, our motto is we don't just buy houses, we build communities.
That's right.
So you bring that all of that into the conversation, into the mindset of that seller. Now, you didn't do anything wrong because, like I said, he is an investor. So he's familiar with the term fix and flip. But keep that in mind. I still want to break it down to a level, even if I am dealing with an investor, I don't necessarily need to show off my level of knowledge. Not yet. I'm going to show off my skills of negotiations. That's what I'm going to show off.
Okay, gotcha.
Which one of our partners would actually close on the property, or even something like a seller finance kind of situation, or a creative way, since the banks are being a little more stingy. Yeah.
So you're saying a lot there. A seller financing or a creative financing, which technically both means the same.
Same thing, yeah.
Technically, if you want to be more specific, technically they mean the same.
Yes.
If you're doing seller financing, you're being creative for the most part. So keep that in mind. Banks are being a little stingy. You're giving him so much stuff to consume now, which means that a confused mind is like, oh man, what should I'll get back with you, Tony. I'll talk to you later. So that's what you're putting in his mind right now. Man, really had to, so a couple things I'm going to give him when it comes to solutions. I'm not going to give him 4 or 5 different things that we do, because it's not about what we do. Remember, it's all about not how to buy the house, but how to solve the problem.
Yes.
Stay away from buying the house and instead concentrate on solving the problem.
Understood.
Nowadays, which takes a lot of buyers right out of the market, you know. So I always like to break down that there's a couple of different ways. Do you have any questions for me with what I just laid out there?
Now, this is the way I like to bring it a presumptuous close at this point. Now, when we buy your property, Mr. Jackson, is there any particular thing that you want to see happen?
Okay.
Listen to what I said. When we buy your property.
Yes. Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Bring that in that conversation if you can. When we buy your property. Now, I know you're on video. Okay, let's see.
Not really, because I'm a little savvy when it comes to stuff like that.
Okay, you sound like you've been in it for 20 years, so you're not a newbie.
No, I've got 3 properties total, so.
Okay.
Think about what he just said. You heard what he said?
I did not.
I'm going to rewind a little bit.
What I just laid out there.
Listen.
Not really, because I'm a little savvy when it comes to stuff like that.
Okay, you sound like you've been in for 20 years, so you're not a newbie.
No, I've got 3 properties total, so.
Okay, all right. And that one has
Oh,
been vacant for how?
Now, what did you pick up?
yeah, he has 3. He has 3 other properties.
There you go. Now, my next question to you is: did you go into asking about the other properties?
I did not.
There you go.
I did not.
That's where I'm going with this. That's where I'm going with this because there's a couple ways there's a couple ways. Go ahead. You go right ahead.
No, and I've had this happen before where somebody will be talking about one property, they'll mention they have a couple other ones, and I want to get this one nailed down so much that I neglect to approach the other ones, just like you were saying, like a confused mind, too many things. Then
here's where I'm going with this.
okay.
You've gotten all the information you could possibly get about this one property. So you've gotten everything. He's giving you mortgage payment, mortgage balance, estimate of repairs, neighbors who sold their property. He's giving you everything. So there's no reason why you couldn't go into any other opportunities he may have.
That's right. Okay.
I can understand what you're saying if he's in the middle of the conversation and you still have a dozen more questions to get answered. But he's at the end of the conversation now.
How long?
Probably about 4 months, 6 months, 4 months, 6 months, something like that.
Okay. About 4 to 6, I'll put it. Yeah, 4.
And I work full time, so it's really hard for me to, like I said, by the time I go finish work, I just don't have to get up and go to get out and do it.
Oh man, I understand. I understand. So the last tenant, you mentioned something about the window pane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now those they were pretty good tenants. That wasn't.
Yeah, until the very end when they got to be real a-holes and decided they weren't going to pay their rent anymore. I had to get rid of them.
Okay. Oh well, I was going to say, was it because of the COVID? But that was way before COVID.
Yeah, it was before COVID.
So no excuses.
Yeah.
Basically, okay.
Yeah,
right,
a young couple just getting started, and I was trying to be nice to them, and when I got first started, the landlords were nice to me, so I was trying to return the favor. But you know what? It doesn't pay to be nice anymore these days.
Yeah, you're right. You got to be real selective.
Yeah.
With that. All right. Well, look.
You missed a small opportunity.
Okay.
Another key to negotiations is problem, aggravate, solution. When a person tells you a problem, aggravate it. Man, I would hold on. You mean to tell me they did what? What happened? Now you want him to remember, man, I got to get rid of this property. I can't go through that again. So you want to make it a fresh paper cut. You're taking a razor blade and you're going, oh. And then you're going to pour some alcohol on it.
Okay.
So you want to bring the wound fresh again, because it will lead more to him working with you if you can solve, I don't want to go through this again.
Gotcha. Okay.
I have some information here. What I'm going to do is the property is big. I would like to see the property, but let me see what we can work out. Is it currently on a lot line?
Pull some comps up, I guess, and go from there, I guess.
Absolutely. So that's what I'll do. I'll get with my team here, pull some comps, check out the area, and if it's okay, what time is it now? I probably won't have an answer for you this evening, which a good time this evening. Right, exactly. But if it's okay, I'll follow up with you.
Get the word okay out of this part of it.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a call.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to give you a call tomorrow. You don't want to have them give you an objection until they give you an objection. So you want to control the negotiation. You want to control the process. You want to control the actual negotiations. So we're going to do our homework. That's what I love using the word homework. We're going to do our homework. Get back in touch with you tomorrow, sometime between 12 and 2, because he already told you he got the doctor's appointment and everything.
Yeah.
So between 12 and 2 tomorrow, and by that time, I'll be ready to come by and see the property. Let him know I'll be ready to come by and see the property. Because he gave you already the fact that he's willing to take what he owes on the property. The property may need less than $5,000 worth of work. And not to mention that this could be a perfect opportunity for a wraparound subject to rent to own type of transaction. So you want to get there at your speed, at your time frame.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
First thing tomorrow around, let's say about 10, 11 o'clock. No, you work full time.
I got 11:45, Doctor.
You forgot that. Remember,
Yes, I
listen
did.
to the conversation. I remembered it. He has a doctor.
You remembered it. You just said it. Yeah.
Exactly. He had a doctor appointment at 11:45. So like I said, be more receptive to what you're hearing and not to what you want to say.
Understood.
Good appointment tomorrow.
Okay. What time is better for you? Let me just ask that.
Probably, don't call me.
He told you that already too. Excuse me. He told you in the afternoon earlier when you talked about calling him back earlier. So
Yes.
just be cognizant of asking the same question over and over, unless, this is where it comes into play, unless you feel kind of sketchy about this person and you think this person may be lying to you about certain things. So one way in which we keep asking the same question is ask it in a different way. Like, are you sure you're the owner of the property? How long have you owned the property? Are you on the deed of the property? Because the deed has somebody else's name on it. Well, who's Mr. Jackson, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. Yeah.
Always follow up. If something is a combative question or could be considered as a combative question, do something, if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, so take that in your consideration with the questions.
Okay.
I'll be here.
Okay. All right. Would between 2 and 4 be okay?
Yeah. That'll be
All right. No problem.
I know.
So I'll.
You're saying the okay again.
I know. I'll give you a call between 2 and 4.
Take control. Don't give away the control.
Gotcha.
I'll do that. It'll probably be around 2:30 or so,
Okay.
and I'll give you a call and let's go over some of the options here.
Okay.
I'll give you a call and let's go ahead and buy your property.
Okay. Presumptive close.
There you go. There you go.
Understood.
Let's go ahead and buy your property. Okay. Great to hear. Bam. I hope this video has given you guys an insight into where my mind is at when we're talking to sellers, where I'm actually going down the conversation, trying to build rapport, and exactly what you should say, but most importantly, what you shouldn't say to maintain control of that negotiating and getting that deal closed. This is Charles Blair, the Mad Scientist, signing out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.